A shocking 90% of all Gen Z mental health diagnoses are for anxiety, with over half of those diagnosed saying their anxiousness hit an all-time high this past year. And tonight you will learn what is helping fuel a Gen Z anxiety epidemic. And it is an epidemic. Sevi is only 15 years old and says her anxiety about her future can at times just be too hard to bear. Take a look.
My anxiety started when I was 3 years old. I was having these colossal meltdowns where I would fall to the floor and just cry. I still have really bad days. I cry a lot. I shake. I'll get really bad headaches or really bad stomach aches. I will just be crying uncontrollably for hours. My eyes will barely even open. I cry so hard that I throw up. If I'm having a panic attack, I will not leave the house, I will not go to school, I will not see my friends, and I will just shut down. Because of my anxiety, I probably missed 40+ days of school last year. Or I'd make myself sick so I could leave. I'm anxious about school shootings, I'm anxious about friends, I'm anxious about my future, I'm anxious about college. Social media is a huge source of anxiety for me. It makes me struggle with body image. I have anxiety attacks once a week, 3 times a week. It depends. I won't grow out of anxiety, but I can learn to live with it. As long as I can take control of it before it takes control of me.
How do you feel about being here?
A little nervous, but I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad you are here because this is and can be really debilitating for you, right?
Yes. I mean, there will be days where I can't even get out of bed. I can't go to school. I've refused to go to school before. I isolate myself and I'm unable to really communicate to anyone. And I cry and I cry and I cry. And sometimes it'll get so bad that my eyes will just swell up so much that I can barely see.
And what is it that brings this on? Sometimes you'll be completely happy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My anxiety is a shapeshifter. So what will make me anxious today won't make me anxious tomorrow. There's many things that make me anxious right now, like the future, and not only my future, but it's also the future of the world, because the state of the world right now is so anxiety-provoking. I really struggle with school, the academic side of school. That's really difficult because I'm in my last 2 years of high school, so that determines so much for me and for where I go from here.
So what do you say to yourself that gets you out of these panic attacks, anxiety attacks? How does it end?
Well, there's many things that I like to do. The first thing I do is, well, I call it my 5-5 rules. I'll take a few seconds and I'll ask myself, I'll be like, is this gonna matter to me in 5 seconds? Yes, probably. 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 years, and so on. And that kind of helps me stay grounded. And I remind myself that this is just a moment and I will come out of it. Even though it is sometimes hard to remind myself that, because when you're in those kind of panic attack moments, it can feel like it's gonna last forever, and it can feel like that this is the end of the world.
Yeah, but logic doesn't really matter, right?
Mm-hmm. Even if it's the smallest issue, I can take that and I can turn it into something so much bigger and so unrealistic too. I can take a conversation I had with a friend and I can analyze that and I can be like, wait, I said this wrong. What if they're mad at me? What if they don't talk to me anymore? What if they block me? I just take things and I turn them so bad.
Okay. Let's play that out for just a minute.
Okay.
What if that happened?
I mean,
what if they got mad at you? What if they blocked you?
I mean, I would be so upset. And, you know, I've had situations like that.
Okay, but let's do that. But what if they blocked you and you got upset? So what if you got upset? Then what?
I mean, I would have to figure out a way to deal with it, which would be hard because I am an all-time people pleaser and I wouldn't like one of my friends, you know.
Okay, but what if you couldn't figure out a way to please them? Okay, so what if you weren't everybody's best friend? Then what? My point is, you play what if, but you don't ever answer the question.
Yeah.
You say, what if they don't like me? Well, what if they don't? But answer the question. What if everybody doesn't like you?
I frankly don't know how to answer the question.
Well, let's figure it out. What if they don't like you?
Then, I mean, I'll be upset about it, but that's okay.
Is it?
Yeah, not everyone has to like me.
Okay, so, see, my point is monsters live in the dark.
Yeah.
And there's good news and bad news there. The bad news is you're bringing it on yourself. The good news is you're bringing it on yourself.
Yeah.
Which means the only person that you have to control to handle this is you. It's just you.
Yes.
Do you get that?
No, absolutely.
People don't respond to what happens in life. They respond to what they say to themselves about what happens in life. You don't respond to what occurs, you respond to your violation of expectations. And you control your expectations.
Yeah.
When you say you get in your head, that's just a little summary term that gets used a lot, but you have to really unpack that and say, I'm creating my own problem, which means I can fix my own problem.
Yeah.
You should be thrilled that this is your problem.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna add a young woman who says social media is just one of the many triggers that causes an anxiety attack almost every single day. We're gonna add her to the conversation after the break. We'll be right back. $36 trillion. That is the U.S. debt, and it gets deeper and deeper by the day. Our debt has never been higher, nor have the stakes. The government is looking to slash the federal budget by $2 trillion, and no one knows what that will mean for your job, savings, and future. I've seen a lot in my time, and there's one thing I know for sure. You need to prepare before it's too late. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth, and I strongly urge you to do the same. They are the only precious metals firm I trust and recommend to my family, friends, and audience, and they have a special offer just for you. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue throughout 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today.
I'm going to grad school soon, so I'm really anxious about that.
I have mental breakdowns all the time.
Within the past 5-6 years now, I know that it's anxiety, but it was a struggle for school, jobs, my health issues. My stomach was constantly messed up.
Well, I actually don't really feel anxiety until it gets to a point where I have a lot of heartburn, and then I realize that I'm anxious, and then I have to do something to fix it.
I don't have my medication on me, but I do take medication, and it has helped me tremendously.
My next guest, Riley, says the anxiety and panic attacks she battles as a Gen Z young adult can be triggered by, well, really anything, from news about a mass shooting to just thinking about her future. Take a look.
When I get a panic attack, my whole body starts shaking. It feels like there's a brick sitting on my chest, like I can't breathe, and then I start crying just profusely. I've always had anxiety about money and not being able to make enough. I have a lot of social anxiety about flying because I'm terrified of dying, anxiety about driving because I've been in a few accidents. I'm always scared of being in a mall or a movie theater and the shooting happens. I'm always thinking about something bad happening. I use social media as my outlet.
Does anyone else feel really alone? You don't have a group of friends. You don't have a best friend. You have friends.
I'm talking about my anxiety with thousands of people because they're going through the same thing. I do read my comments. It sucks because a lot of these comments are what I already feel about myself, and so people agreeing or adding to that just makes me very anxious.
I don't know what's been wrong with me lately, but I have been struggling the last few weeks. Not wanting to eat, not sleeping, and then not being able to wake up.
I don't know that I'm doing a good job of coping with it right now. I need to put in more work to understand why I'm feeling the way I feel. I hope I'm not always this anxious or depressed because it's not enjoyable and it just ruins a lot of life.
Well, Riley, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You say your anxiety has actually ruined relationships.
Yes, and a lot of friends want you to open up about what's going on, and I don't like to be a burden to people. Like, I'll be there for you, but I don't really allow people to be there for me, and it just puts kind of a wedge in between our friendships because I'm not willing to open up, and then if I do open up and they don't reciprocate it how I expect them to, it just causes a big strain, and I'd rather just kind of be by myself and worry about it by myself and just pretend to be someone I'm not with other people.
Now, you're a content creator,
Yes.
and so you're on the internet, and you say you get negative comments about your body, about the way you present every day,
Yes.
and you read them.
Yes.
Why do you read them?
Well, part of my job is responding to comments, and you can't, like, you can help yourself and not read them, but it's kind of hard to avoid.
Well, engagement is important, but you could filter those things. You could have somebody screen them for you. There's a lot of different things that you can do. You actually post videos online about your anxiety,
Yeah.
which you're very transparent about it, which I commend you for, but you get criticized about that.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people don't understand why I would record myself crying and post it online. But I use it as a way to cope with what I'm dealing with because I don't want to talk about it. And that's my way of sharing it. And in my mind, I don't think that anybody sees them. So it's not that big of a deal to me. Like, if I'm feeling sad, like, I'm gonna record myself crying and post it, and then it ends up helping more people than it makes people angry.
What's the hardest thing for you to deal with?
I think it's the fact that I don't understand why I'm constantly anxious and depressed and let everything build up and can't just let it out or talk to a therapist. I would love to just, like, be a happy-go-lucky person every single day, but that's just never who I've been, and I think that's what bothers me and angers me.
You say social media is a source of anxiety for you. And as strange as this sounds, social media is not a requirement for your existence. That made you anxious. It's not? No, it's really not. And the truth is that this is a source of pain and anxiety and giving your power away to some real unknowns. And actually, there's some real science that it is designed to addict, and the addiction is based on creating upset and anxiety and depression by design.
Yeah.
And you're falling victim to it. And you can stop that. And if it gave you freedom and you knew that and you could withdraw from the fear of missing out, I mean, is that something you can envision yourself doing?
I mean, I have spent time off of social media before, and I'll admit I feel better, but it's just
20 minutes?
No, I've spent a good maybe week or so off of it, and I felt better, but it's the fear of missing out, and it's like I don't want to be the only person in, like, my friend group or, like, my classes who doesn't, like, know what's going on,